What up, everybody? How's it going? Good to be back. Let me mention here um, that I am now live. I am now live at youtube.com/Rama Screen One, giving my live stream review of tonight's Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 6. Think I've typed everything here. Well, maybe I'll just put parentheses to emphasize it. All right. That would do it. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Just want to invite everybody to chime in, as many people as I can online. And thank you so much for tuning in on a weekly basis every Thursday night for my live stream review of Star Trek Discovery episodes. So tonight is the new season 2, episode 6. The title is very simple, nothing, it's not a Latin language. It's The Sounds of Thunder. Love it, love it. And this episode takes us back to Saru's home planet. Um, I believe the name of the home planet is, I have this on my screen, Kaminar. And we previously got a glimpse of Kaminar in the short treks. Remember, this past fall season, there were like what? I want to say four, right? Four uh like 15-minute shorts. Um and one of them was about the backstory or the origin story, if you will, of Saru and how Saru found himself recruited by Captain Philippa Giorgio. And so we that's the last time we saw Kaminar. And I'm excited about this, the fact that this episode 6 revisits Kaminar, because to me it suggests that maybe the other three stories in that short treks might be able to also reemerge as part of the series. I'm a big fan of actor Aldous Hodge, who plays I think he plays one of the characters in one of the short treks, in the episode where it's it's him alone, solitary man, interacting with the voice of a robot, um, on the ship, on an abandoned ship. It's like HAL 3000. What was it, 9000? God, I forgot. I need to watch Space Odyssey again. It's been a while. But I like that episode, and I'm a big fan of Aldous Hodge. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to see him again. That'd be pretty cool, right? That'd be pretty cool. Um, all right, so there's a lot of things on my notes here. If I miss out on some details, or I mismentioned some details, misspoke or mispronounced some names, let me know in the comment section below. I welcome correction and suggestions and thoughts and questions and whatnot as well. All right. So first up, tonight's episode feels like a freaking sci-fi horror at one point. Right in the middle, when Baul like rises up, kind of like a that dark oily creature, surfacing, and that part looks like, oh my god, are we watching Ridley Scott Alien? Is this a xenomorph? So uh but before we get to that, let's give you context. Another episode, and still we haven't seen Spock. Damn it. I'm beginning to think that Spock is not only elusive, but he just doesn't want to be found. If that's not even if that's not already obvious. But here's the thing: Spock did get mentioned, or does get mentioned. Let's use present tense a few times in this episode, but it's more in the respect of um, the juxtaposition, or maybe the way the way Saru wants Michael Burnham, like Saru's relationship with his sister, the whole arc in this episode, how ultimately they reunite, and there's a bit of conflict in the middle, but in the end they patch things up again. That's the kind of relationship that Saru hopes for uh, with Michael and Spock and her brother Spock. So that's the only reason why Spock is mentioned in this episode, just for that purpose alone. Um, that part in tonight's episode where Saru he gets really tense because they find out that the Red Angel has guided them back to Kaminar. This is the home planet that he left behind about 18 years ago, I want to say. And he made a promise to Captain Philippa Giorgio that he's not ever gonna go back. And but they have to now visit Kaminar. So Captain Pike uh, at first suggests that Michael Burnham be the one to be the delegate um, to Kaminar to explore the Red Angel. But Saru says, "Hey, this is my home planet. Psh, I know this in the back of my head. What are you doing? Why are you benching me, coach?" So, and it does make sense. Like, why do you not want to have one of the locals to help him to help out with this mission? But it is obvious the reason why. And Captain Pike, this is why Captain Pike is so freaking wise, man. That guy is so wise, and it's so um irresistible how wise he is. Like you want him to be your spouse and your dad and your friend and your mentor, because because he knows that there's a bit of a conflict of interest there, and he knows that Saru will get emotional, and when you let your emotions cloud your judgment and discernment, and that's when the mission might get jeopardized. um so at that point, Saru insists, like, right? It's like Saru insists, like, no, you gotta let me go down there. Look, are you doubting my skills or something like that? Or I'm paraphrasing. And at that moment, it looks like, excuse me, Saru looks like he's about to pick a fight with Pike. And I was like, holy shit. But Pike, throughout that whole tense moment, um, remains calm. And I love how they shot that moment. It's like from a distance, and it's like you have glimpses of everybody's face, being all shocked, like, holy snap, Saru speaking like that to the captain. The whole crew's like, oh no, he didn't. Oh no, he did not just say that. Or in their heads, probably like, or maybe Michael says like, Saru, stand down. What are you doing? Just shut up. Psst, psst. but, but Michael Burnham intervenes, like, hey, you know what? Maybe it's good that Saru comes with me, and so Pike gives them permission. Um, on the planet uh, Kaminar, um, Saru meets the sister. I mean, his sister. His sister's name is. I want to get this name correctly. I don't want to miss. I don't want to misbutcher her name. Sarana. Seminar. What? Seminar. Sarana, and she's played by actress Hannah Spear. So Sarana and Sarana apparently is now a priest. So their dad, who was the priest in that short trek, had passed on, and so now Sarana is like this public figure that everybody all in the community looks up to, and there's this reunion. But here's the thing: we are also introduced in this episode to this creature called Baul. Baul is a species that shares Kaminar with um, Keltian. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart right now. Kelpian, not Kelpian. Okay, Kelpian. So both species, but Baul has history of oppressing Kelpians, and and they are pissed. Baul is pissed when they find out that Saru, a Kelpian, managed to break through the Varhara. So what I'm trying to say is that Baul doesn't want their order to be messed with, and that order is that Kelpians are beneath them, and that Baul oppresses them with their technology, right? Using their technologies, and that causes the friction because Baul wants Saru, and then Star Trek discovers like, hey, no, Saru is our people. Saru is one of us. We're not gonna give him up. But then, after the village and his species being threatened, Saru, beams his way down, beams his way down to confront the Baul, and that leads us to that sci-fi horror thing, where the gnarly, dark, oily creature rises up, and after that sci-fi horror for a few minutes, it turns into action movie where Saru is the action star, and you see him like kicking these drones, like punching the drones onto the wall. He's just like, bam, badass man. like I'm, he's like a Kelpian Rambo, saving his sister. Now I forgot to mention that if you recall in the previous episodes where or that episode when Saru is almost about to die. Remember that? Because that planet that's dying, that's sharing all their information to Star Trek Discovery. That affects that planet affects Saru, and he's about to die and on his deathbed, and he shares with Michael Burnham. And one of the things that happens in that episode is that his ganglia, I think, is the one that goes up on the back of his head whenever he senses something or he fears something. Um, that pretty much falls down. He doesn't have those anymore. But in place of those, he has these gnarly looking spiky thing, and that thing actually gets triggered in tonight's episode, and fights back against that creature, that Baul creature thing. Excuse me. I guess I just want to comment on that real quick. That the new thing that he has now on the back of his head, it gives me the creeps, man. It's like not in an insulting way to all the Kelpians out there, but it's still like, ugh. It's one of those things where you see it and you just like feel chills just going down your spine. Like, ugh. I'm just one of those people. I guess some people can stomach it. But yeah, that thing is like a freaking weapon. Like it's like a defense mechanism and turns into a weapon and then attacks, and it just throws the spike at you. So pretty cool feature, pretty cool new feature by Saru there. And so the Baul threatens other villages, and that's when Star Trek Discovery says, "Hey, if you plan to commit genocide on the other species, you and I, we're gonna dance, buddy. You're gonna be our enemies, and we're gonna attack." And um, Star Trek Discovery kind of does, I think, launch a proton torpedo at the Baul. And long story short, it ends with the Red Angel saving the day again. The Red Angel shows up, and of course, everything's all well now. And Sarana is trying to restore the faith of the Kelpians and to restore balance. And it's going to be a new good balance. So that's in a nutshell the context, the storyline of tonight's episode. Now, and the other arc involves Stamets and Hugh. Hugh, as you remember, got resurrected. he came back from the dead. Well, he got stuck in that spores. Um, and there's some things that's different about his physiology. One of which is that he doesn't have the scar that he used to have when he was a kid, or he's had since he was a kid. So that thing is, and you can sense that there's something bugging him. And but this second arc in the episode is very minute, or plays a minor role. It's not like equal footing between the Saru storyline and this one. So um here are my thoughts about, let's tackle the Hugh and Stamets first. Is it just me, or I'm sensing something is about to happen with this new newly minted Hugh? Because the diagnosis from the doctor says, hey, all of you look, the whole body, whatever, mental, it comes out normal. All right, there's nothing to worry about. But not having the scar, and then Hugh is kind of like trying to you can tell that he's trying to collect himself. And as the sound kind of muffles in the background when um when Stamets is explaining to the nurse the history or the origin of that scar. Excuse me. I'm sensing that, down the line in subsequent episodes, there's gotta be something about this Hugh that's fishy. Um, Now I don't know if May, that Tilly's ghostly friend who happens to be part of the spores. I don't know if she has something to do with it, or if she has put in something in Hugh when she brings Hugh back to them. Who knows, right? That could be a theory. Or it's one of those scenarios where, if you've seen a lot of horror movies like I do, I watch horror movies. I love horror movies, and when when somebody comes back from the dead, it's almost always there's almost always a possibility that it's not the full him that comes back. Either he comes back reanimated, or that he comes back uh, harboring something in him. You know so it might not be him 100%, or that he comes back with some defects, some new peculiar traits that might harm him or anybody around him. So I know it sounds like just shooting in the kind of like, you know, shooting darts here, seeing whatever theory that might sticks. But this is my sense, at least from tonight's episode, that there's something that's not quite right with this too good to be true and too good to be healthy, too good to be perfect newly version of Hugh. So, but we'll leave that at that. What do you think? But I do agree with my friend Diana, who's a fellow Trekker, and I tweeted this with her because I asked her, like, what do you feel about the resurrection of Hugh? And she said, I'm just happy that he's back. And I agree. I'm also happy for Stamets, because clearly in tonight's episode, he is all giddy, man. He's all smile. Did you see Stamets smile, like from this end of the cheek to that end of the cheek, like really wide, like so, especially at the upon hearing from the doctor that his boyfriend Hugh is just normal. It's just all smiles, man. I'm so happy. I'm happy that Stamets is happy. So but I don't know if it will last. But for now, I'm happy that Stamets decides to stay. Instead of being depressed and like, oh, I see Hugh all over this ship. I'm gonna transfer out. I'm gonna teach now in the academy instead of being the part of this crew. I was like, now he's all giddy and he's just happy to have his lover back, and I'm happy for him. Okay, so back to the arc of Saru. I have two little sisters. Of course, they're grown now, and so I can relate to Saru's Saru's storyline in this one. That the idea that that she hasn't seen him in years, and that they thought that he was dead. And she says in this episode that seeing that light, flickering across the sky, when Saru leaves with Captain Philip of Georgia, that's the one that kind of sparks me in, or motivates me into going into becoming a priest. Um, so now that you're back, it kind of shatters all that thing that propelled me the first time to become a priest. So that's the drama that they have there. And the writing is so genuine and so heartfelt. Um, you can tell that there are upsides and downsides to the reunion. It's not all like, oh my God, celebratory, siblings have been reunited, but it's not that simple. It's more nuanced, and I like that. I like that the writers approach it that way. Um, it's also kind of funny how, just like in last week's episode, I believe it's last week, right? Yeah, last week. When a few of the Discovery crew members, including Michael Burnham, they go into the spores to find Tilly, right? And then the Discovery ship takes a beating in the process. So it gets caught in the middle of trying to hold on so that Michael and Tilly can come back with Stamets, of course. Between that and then getting pulled by Section 31, because if Section 31 doesn't pull the Discovery, then Discovery might get obliterated by the spores. Now, in tonight's episode, the Discovery is like also making that choice. Um, that the Baul might attack Discovery if Baul doesn't give up Saru. And in both episodes, it goes to show the lengths to which the whole ship, the entire ship, right, under the leadership of Pike, the lengths to which that whole ship is willing to go for one of their own, even for like one or a few. That whole thing will leave no man behind. Pike and that whole ship really take it to heart, and it's impressive, man. It's impressive. Um, Having gone through certain points in my life where certain people or certain jobs have abandoned me, um, to see a camaraderie at this level, it floors me. It humbles me. Um, I know that this is usually the normal thing in Star Trek universe. In Star Trek: The Next Generation, Star Trek Voyager, the leave no man behind thing. It's just another Star Trek thing that you're supposed to be familiar with. But just to see it again in this level, in this version, in this Discovery, this prequel, if you will, it, to be reminded of that again, it's kind of nice. I like it. I like it. Um, the revelation that Baul used to be the prey, and then Baul evolves and gets technologies, and then the Kelpians devolve and becomes the minority, and Baul kind of oppresses Kelpians. That whole thing to me um, kind of speaks to the nature of human as well. In that, if you notice, in any regions of the world, whatever, right? Asia, America, Africa, you name it. unfortunately, the majority, it's always been about which ethnics or which group of people or which religion outnumbers the other. Do you see what I'm getting at? It's always about that, right? It's like, because if you outnumber the other ethnics or the other species or the other religion or the other people, the other, right? So, and if you outnumber them, then you rule over them, and human nature sometimes takes the better of us, and you oppress them. And that happens too many often, man. And civilizations in any parts of the world, our world, goes through that motion, unfortunately, where the majority will try to say, "Hey, we're gonna dictate how everybody, including you, the minority, how to live." And if you mess with that order, if you mess with that balance, we're gonna freak. We're gonna freak. All right. If there's an outsider force that tries to mess with that balance, we're gonna freak with that outsider force. We're gonna confront them. Um, and it's fascinating that despite the general order number one, I think general order one, right? Yeah, that says or dictates that you're not supposed to intervene. This is one of those cases where Pike decides that it's wise to intervene. Um, when genocide is about to happen, or that when one of his own, one of his people, is about to perish. When threats like that, that's when he intervenes, and we see that because in the previous episode, with that group of humans that got saved from World War III, magically transported by the Red Angel to a new planet, the General Order one, and Captain Pike obeys that order. He says, "Hey, don't blow our cover. Don't tell the rest of the people who we are or what technologies we have. These people will have to learn to evolve by themselves. They have to discover their way back up again to knowledge and technology. Just like the early humans in the early centuries, they have to go through that process." But in this case, in tonight's episode, he says like, "Oh, this is one of those moments where I can intervene, and I will." And that's what that goes again to the wisdom of Captain Pike. He knows when to meddle and when not to meddle. And I think we can definitely, we as a society, we can learn a thing or two from Captain Pike's approach. um so I think I have all my notes covered here. I love that this episode tonight is focused on Saru. I think he is one of those characters that is just so noble, but obviously from tonight's episode, sometimes his emotions can get better of him. But his heart's in the right place. He would do anything for his sister, something that I can relate to. Um, and I'm glad that we get to see that side or that aspect or that story of Saru gets explored again and much further than what we saw in the short trek. And the actor who plays Saru, Doug Jones, whom I've interviewed, by the way. If you want, go check out my interview with Doug Jones right here on Rama Screen YouTube channel. Just type in on the video search box Rama Screen Doug Jones. You'll see it there. I only talked to him about a couple of minutes, but I loved him. He's so nice and friendly. One of the coolest guys I've ever interviewed. And Doug Jones, of course, as you know, is the same guy who plays that fish creature in The Shape of Water that won Oscar for Best Picture. And it's just fun to see Doug Jones getting such a meaty role like Saru, and gets to actually uh, f- flex his acting chops more than he ever did before. Usually Doug Jones only gets hired to do what he did in The Shape of Water, to perform, because he has a certain body and lean look, and to perform he almost always plays creatures like Saru or the Shape of Water creature, but with Saru, it's a fully developed complex character, and I think if I can speculate, I think it must be fun for Doug Jones to tackle such a character. So I love it. I'm happy for Doug Jones. Um, lastly, lastly, let's end with this: that the Red Angel, because he appears again, and Saru sees the Red Angel very carefully, and Saru has these eyes that they Kelpin's eyes, they're more attentive to details than human eyes. And it's revealed that, or Saru describes it as humanoid, like a human guy wearing a suit, kind of like the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp, so with wings. Um, so that's how Saru describes what he sees. And so I brought this to my friend Diana on Twitter. It's like, okay, how much do you want to bet? And I'm asking you guys too. How much do you want to bet that the Red Angel is actually Spock? Now we're finally gonna get to see Spock next week, according to this preview at the end of this tonight's episode. It says, on the next episode of Star Trek Discovery, and then there's a shot of Spock. Ethan Peck plays Spock. So we'll find out. We'll find out next week if my guess is correct or not. My guess is that the Red Angel is Spock, because the thing is, the Red Angel has been guiding the Discovery to places that, number one, something in that place is in need of rescue or in need of saving. Number two, something in the vicinity of that place or that place itself is about to get hit by disaster. Uh, just as Ash Tyler points out correctly in tonight's episode, there seems to be like, so the Red Angel would send the Discovery to one of the seven signals, and at that place, at that destination, wherever that is, two things happen: somebody needs a rescue, or somebody needs rescuing, or number two, or at the same time, I'm sorry, and at the same time, not or, and at the same time, something's about to blow up, or the disaster is about to happen. So, and in this case, the Red Angel saves Saru and Sarana and the whole connection with Balu, and I think it's interesting how this Red Angel has made this show procedural. You know, I've mentioned to you before that one of the things I like about Star Trek Discovery is that it doesn't have procedural nature. At least season one did not. Procedural means that it's kind of like those shows on CBS or NBC where things would get solved within 1 hour. Things would from the first to the end of the episode, and that's it. And then you get to the next episode, and there's new case to solve. That's how it feels now. The Red Angel basically gives the Discovery cases to solve, people to rescue, disaster to prevent, or disaster to get the refugees away from, whatever. So cases to solve, and so that's interesting, right? That's I think that's an interesting thing. The whole overarching arc is still Spock, but the Red Angel is like guiding them to like, hey, let's go here. There's this person that you need to take care of. That there's this person that you need to beam up. Whatever. What do you guys think? Are you guys disappointed that season 2 has become more procedural compared to season 1? Is that something that you think that, oh no, now it just makes it seem like any other Star Trek shows like Voyager and the Next Generation? I thought Star Trek Discovery was supposed to be different. What do you guys think? Do you find that disappointing, or do you find that, or do you like that approach for season two? Do you like that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm curious to hear it. Okay, that's it. That's my long rant, my review of tonight's Star Trek season two, episode six, titled "The Sounds of Thunder." And again, share your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, subscribe to my channel, press that like button, ring that bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And as always, if you can help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. I need your help, guys. I need, if you want this channel to keep going, if you want me to keep giving you reviews and um, editorial and commentary and rocking it with Rama Screen Live and the news and interviews. If you want me to do more interviews, because I have to put in gas in my car to go to Los Angeles to cover the red carpets or the press junkets. So I need your help. I don't have any backing from any corporate money. I only rely on you guys. So if you can help, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's rock this.